All right, hi you guys. This is Mrs. Power again, and today we're going to go over some of the big ideas that are in Khan. So I feel like I have started the same video a couple times already. If you've watched any of the prior videos, you know I've been having some recording issues, but I think I have them all worked out. So this week we're going to be focusing on surface area of shapes. Now, surface area tends to be a 3D type of word. So if you imagine something like a cube, like a single dice is called a die, then you can imagine something that looks like a box in 3D, and it would have a total of 6 faces, right? Because there's 6 sides to that cube. So a surface area would just be finding the area of each one of those 6 sides and adding them together. Now, the nice thing about a cube is that all 6 sides would look exactly the same, right? So you could find one area and just multiply it by 6. So we're going to start out small and give you the main idea of what you're going to be doing on Khan Academy. They're going to start with something called nets. So nets are just imagining that that dice was made out of paper and that we cut it along some of the edges and unwrapped it. But we unwrapped it in a way that it's still all connected, but you can just see where all the folded pieces were. Okay, so on our first picture that we're looking at, I can see that if I would have folded this up, can you imagine what this might have looked like folded up? I'm thinking it's like almost like a cereal box on its side, right? So like this would be the front of the cereal box and this would be the back. And I'm color coding them the same color because they'd probably have the same area, right? They'd probably look exactly the same, have the same shape. Okay, so let's see if we can go and find the area of that shape. Well, those shapes are rectangles, so we're going to be using length times width. Okay, so length times width, or we could call it base times height. And for those shapes, it looks like those are 7.4 centimeters times 5 centimeters. And I'm going to say times 2 because we have 2 that are colored the exact same way. Okay, so the 7.4 was centimeters, the 5 is centimeters. So I'm done with that. I'm going to call it centimeters squared. But for now, I'm just going to shortcut it and just multiply those all together. So let's see, that's going to be 7.4 times 5 times 2 is going to be 74. All right, so then let's look at the other sides of the box. So the other sides of the box is, here are the sides that would be like where the nutritional information would be, or maybe some directions on how to make something if it wasn't a box of cereal, right? So on this side, we would be doing the same thing. Base times heights, they're still rectangles. And now I can see that their length is still 7.4, but instead of it being 5, those are 3.1s. And again, it looks like there's times 2, so I'm going to do those. So I'm going to do 7.4 times 3.1 times 2, and I'm going to get 45.88. Remember, if you don't have a calculator at home, there's still your calculators online. Just go ahead and search and download an app. Anything like that should work really well. Okay. And then lastly, we have our tops and our bottoms of the box. So that would be these two here. And again, there's 2 of them. Those are also rectangles, so we're going to be using the same idea here. Now the length of those, though, is not going to be 7.4. It looks like those are 3.1 and 5s. So 3.1 times 5 times 2, 3.1 times 5 times 2 is going to be a 31. Okay, and then surface area is just all of those areas added together. So if I add all of those areas together, I will get 150.88. And since they were all based on a length times a width, that's going to be centimeters squared, centimeters times centimeters. Right? Pretty easy stuff. Okay, so the other thing that they're asking, and I'm not sure that they really pay an awful lot of attention to this on Khan Academy, so don't freak out too much about this, is what it's called. So the main thing here is, what are the main shapes? And since these are all the same shape, we're going to call it a rectangular. And then usually we're going to be using something like a prism, a sphere, or a pyramid. So a prism is just another way to say box. So this is definitely going to be a prism. Is a box, right? Pyramid is self-explanatory. It looks like a pyramid. It forms a point at the top of the shape, right? Okay, so let's go and try the second one. All right, so for the second one, knowing that we might also have, can you see how this would also, even though the net looks slightly different, I can still see that there would be a top of the box and a bottom of the box, and then this would be like the labels around the box. So I'm going to start out with the top and the bottom. Again, those are rectangles, so we're just doing base times height. And then because there's 2, we're going to do times 2 of them. So it looks like those are 2 by 3s by 2s, and we put down those and we calculate them. Let me see if I can move my face out of the way. We'll put it down here instead for a little bit. Okay, so we've got those done. And then let's see if we can go ahead and calculate some other ones. So what about this big rectangle right here and this big rectangle right here? That'd be like the front and the back of the box. So for that one, we would have 3 times 6, and there are 2 of them, and we calculate those and put them in. Okay. And then lastly, we have this section in here and this section in here. And again, those are 2 rectangles. So those are going to be 2 times 6's, and there's 2 of them. And we put all those in and we grand total them. Okay. So if I do that, I should get a 72 centimeters squared, again, because every area was a centimeters times a centimeters. And then what would this figure be? Well, it's the same figure as before. So it's still a rectangular prism for a box. All right, so we're going to just try a few different shapes. So there's our box shape. That's the one the most people are the most comfortable with. All right, so let's take a look at this one on the left. So this one on the left, we have a triangle, it looks like, right? So on our triangle, if I were, oh, look, there's 4 triangles, and then there's the square at the bottom. So let's go find that shape because there's only one of those, okay? So the square is going to be base times height. That's going to be 5 times 5, and there's only one of those, so that's just 25, and that would be centimeters squared, okay? So if I go and I change to a different color, and try to find these, remember that all of these are triangles. So all of these are going to be following the formula for a triangle. It's going to be 1/2 base times height. So for the reds, I'm going to be doing 1/2 the base. I'm not sure what the base is. The height they've labeled as an 8. Okay, so the base would be this side right here. Oh, it'd be the same side as this one right here, right? So that would also be a 5, right? And then don't forget, we've got how many of these to multiply by? We have times 4 of them. So put those down, give a grand total, and our total surface area for this one should be 105 centimeters squared. Okay, now what's this one is going to be called is going to be a little bit different, right? Because I can see that those triangles on the end, as I put them together, they're going to form a nice pyramid shape on the top. So we're going to name the base first. So we're going to say it is a square-based. So it's a square, and then it's a square-based pyramid because the top is not going to make a box, it's going to make a pyramid. Okay, and again, the big idea is the calculating part, not the naming of things. All right. All right, so let's take a look at this other one. Can you think about what shape this one might be if I were to fold it up along all of its lines? Think about if you made this main shape right here the base, right? If that was the base and you folded everything along up over it, can you notice that one of the base or one of the rectangles are missing to make it into a box? So by the time I fold those other 2, it's going to make like a rooftop, almost like a house, right? And then these triangles are going to come up on end, okay? So we have 3 rectangles and we have 2 triangles. Now I want you to imagine that the triangle is the base because it's the one that has a smaller number of them. There's only 2 of them. So if I made the triangle the base, this would be a triangular prism. It's got a triangle base and it's a prism because it's not going to make a box. They're going to kind of make like this house shape around. Okay, so it's a triangle prism. Okay, so it's going to go around. Let's see if I can try to draw a little 3D shape for you. So it'd kind of look like this. And then you'd have this one going up along the back, this one being in front, this one being in front, and then we'd have another top triangle that looks something like that. Does that kind of make sense? Can you kind of see that? Okay, so that's a triangle prism. It's a triangle box with triangles on the bottom, and then the sides around it are kind of making a sides of a 3-sided box. Okay. All right, so same deal here. We're just going to go through. Let's go find the area of the rectangles. Now, are all 3 rectangles the same? I think they are, right? It looks like all of them are, looks like 10 by 12s. So 10 times 12, because it's a rectangle, and then times 3 is going to give me all of those. Okay, so that's going to give me all of these and this one. And then these, there's 2 of them. They look like to be about the same thing. And these are going to be triangles. So we're going to be doing 1/2. The base would be this side or this side. Do we know what the base is of this one? The 8s are tricky. They're trying to trick you. It's not really an 8, right? So it's a 10, right? Because that's what that 10 meant. So it's a 10 for the base, and the height is this 9 over here. Remember, when we say base and height, they have to form right angles. Okay, and how many of those do I have? I have 2. So I get that amount, and I total them up, and I add a grand total, and I should get 402 centimeters squared, right? All right, moving on. Ooh, what the heck would this one look like? All right, so I'm going to try to make a circle on the bottom and a circle on the top, and then it's going to be a rectangle shape around it. Oh, that's like a cylinder, right? So we're going to call that a cylinder. That's a cylinder. Okay, now here's the fun part, is that rectangle actually turns out to be the label that goes all the way around that soup can, okay? So let's take a look, right? So it'll be that label all around the outside. So we're still just going to go through our usual deal here of we're just going to go find the areas. Let's go find the areas of the circles. So the area of a circle is pi r squared. So, and we're going to have 2 of those. So we're going to have that this one is going to be pi, and they said the radius is 4.4. We're going to square that. We're going to multiply it by 2. That's going to give us the area of all those circles. All right, now the next one is going to be this one. And that's just a rectangle. So I can see that that is 72 times what? I need to know how long this is. It's definitely longer than 72, right? But they didn't give me a number. That's because if you think about this, it is the entire circumference around that circle. Basically, if I rolled that rectangle up and down along the circle, it would have gone around the circle once. So for that, we need circumference. And circumference is pi times diameter, or 2 pi r. Remember, 2 times r is a diameter. Okay, so I'm just going to be doing 2 pi r. Okay, so when I fill that in, it's going to be 2 times pi times 4.4. That will give me the rectangle. Now there's only one rectangle, so I just do that one. I do a grand total at the end, and if you check your calculator, you should be getting 934.15, and that would be centimeters squared. Okay, so that's just a cylinder. All right, on to our last one together, and then you're going to go do these on Khan online. And don't forget the quiz at the end. That will count as a quiz score. So make sure you are able to do those and retake those if you don't get a score that you like. All right, so on this one, I can see that there are 4 triangles. Can you imagine what that would look like if you folded it all up? It's almost like you would have a nice little package, right? And the base would be a triangle base, and then it'd have 3 sides to it. So this is going to be called, hello, come on back. This is going to be called a triangular pyramid, right? Because it forms a point at the top. Okay. All right. Are all of these triangles the same? Let's see if we can figure out what the numbers stand for. So for sure, this 10 is part of this one. And since they're saying these 2 are the same, this also has a height of 10. So I'm fairly confident that this one and this one are the same thing. But this one inside is a 20 across. So I think the one on the inside is going to be a slightly different shape. But I do think this one has a /2. I think that these 3 triangles on the outside are going to be the same thing. So let's see if we can figure out what those are first. So remember, triangles are 1/2 base times height. So for those, I'm going to be doing 1/2. The base looks like it's a 20, right? This is the base of each side. So 20. And then the height is that 10 that they did on the other side. And I have 3 of those. So that's going to be all of the light blue sections of the outside triangles. Okay. On the inside, though, let's see, on the inside, this one is going to be 1/2. Its base is going to be 20, and there's only one of them, and its height is this amount right here. Do I know what that height actually is? Well, they didn't. Yes, they gave it to me, right? It's 15. Cool. So I can just use 15 for that. Okay. And then I can go ahead and put that in and use it for the triangle in the center. So add up all of those together, we should get 450. We're still talking, millimeters squared. Excuse me, millimeters squared. All right, so that should help you get started on some of the Khan Academy stuff. Hopefully that helps a little bit. I know it wasn't something that's just logically easy for some of you, so hopefully that'll help a little bit. Again, leave me comments in the Google Classroom or send me one to my email directly if you're having any trouble with these, especially on Khan. We can go back over some of those during a Zoom meeting together on Thursday. So, all right, hang in there, people. Give it a try. Remember, you can retake things if you need it. There probably will be a quizzes or something similar assignment posted on Thursday, so keep an eye out for that too. All right, until next time. Bye, you guys.